Ada's ship spun wildly as it entered Earth's atmosphere. Red warning lights flashed across her control panel, and the ship's computer kept repeating the same message. Warning: gravitational forces exceed safety parameters. Warning: atmospheric pressure dangerous. Warning: environment hostile. She gripped her seat tighter, her pale blue skin turning almost white with fear. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was meant to be a simple research mission. Observe the deadly planet from orbit, take some readings, and return home to Lumina. But something had gone wrong with her ship's engines, and now she was falling straight toward the surface of what her people called the Death Planet. Through the viewport, she could see white-covered mountains rushing up to meet her. The ship's emergency systems fought against Earth's gravity, which felt like it was crushing her even through the ship's protective field. On her world, gravity was gentle, like a soft blanket. Here, it felt like giant hands pushing her down. The crash wasn't as bad as she expected, but it was still terrible. Her ship carved a long path through the snow before coming to rest against a cluster of tall brown plants. Trees, according to her database. As the emergency systems shut down, Ada felt the full force of Earth's gravity for the first time. She could barely lift her arms. Emergency beacon status, she asked her ship's computer, trying to keep her voice steady. Beacon damage. Unable to transmit distress signal at full power. Estimated 7 planetary rotations before rescue vessels can locate signal. Ada felt her heart sink. 7 days. She would have to survive 7 days on this nightmare world. She checked her environmental suit's status. It was working, but the power cells had been damaged in the crash. She had maybe 3 days of full protection before the suit would start to fail. Looking out through the cracked viewport, she saw white stuff. Snow, she remembered, covering everything. Her ship's sensors told her the outside temperature was far below what any civilized planet should allow. The air pressure was crushing. The gravity was brutal. And according to her scanners, the very air was full of corrosive oxygen. Ada pulled up the emergency survival guides on her computer. The information about Earth made her feel sick. The planet had extreme temperature swings, from burning hot to freezing cold. It had huge areas of water that moved and changed shape. The ground itself sometimes shook and split open. And worst of all, the planet was crawling with life forms that had evolved to survive in these horrible conditions. She jumped as something made a loud sound outside her ship, a high-pitched cry that echoed through the mountains. Some kind of local animal. Ada quickly checked her ship's weapons. She had a small stun blast, but would it even work on Earth creatures? As the sun began to set, another horrible thing. The temperature would drop even more. Ada realized she needed to make a plan. Her ship was too damaged to fly, but some systems still worked. She could use the emergency shelter unit, and she had some food supplies. But 3 days wasn't enough time. Her environmental suit would fail before help arrived. Computer, show me information about the nearest Earth settlement, she ordered. The screen displayed a map showing a collection of buildings about 20 kilometers away. It seemed humans, the terrifying apex predators who called this Deathworld home, had built shelters even in these mountains. Ada shivered, not from the cold her suit was still keeping out, but from fear. She had studied humans from orbit. They were tough, resilient creatures who had evolved on this nightmare planet. They could drink acid. They called it citrus juice. Eat burning plants. They called them peppers. And survive in almost any environment their deadly whirl threw at them. Now, as she looked at the darkening sky and felt the crushing gravity of Earth pressing down on her, Ada realized a terrible truth. She might have to meet these humans to survive. The thought made all 3 of her hearts race with fear. The morning brought new horrors for Ada. Her ship's systems warned her that a massive storm was approaching, and the temperature was dropping even further. She had spent the night huddled in her crashed ship, jumping at every strange sound from the wilderness around her. As she checked her environmental suit's power levels, a new alert flashed. Warning: suit integrity compromised. Estimated 30 hours of protection remaining. The crash had damaged her suit worse than she thought. She wouldn't survive until rescue without help. That's when she saw him through the viewport, her first human. He was tall, wearing some kind of thick outer covering against the cold. He carried a long stick-like object over his shoulder and was walking through the deep snow like it was nothing. Ada's heart nearly stopped when she realized he was heading straight for her ship. "Computer, analyze threat level," she whispered. "Human male, approximately 1.8 meters tall, carrying what appears to be a rescue tool called a rope and a survival pack. Likely a local authority based on uniform markings. Threat level, unknown. Caution advised. Humans can lift 3 times their body weight and survive extreme temperature variations." The human was getting closer. Ada could see his face now. It had fur on the lower half, what her database called a beard. He was moving carefully, examining the trail her ship had left in the snow. Suddenly, he called out, his voice easily carrying through the ship's damaged hull. "Hello? Anyone in there? I'm Tom with Mountain Rescue. We picked up some strange readings in this area. Are you hurt?" Ada was shocked. He sounded concerned. She had expected roaring or aggressive displays. Her research showed humans were apex predators, yet this one was displaying caregiving behavior. With her suit failing and the storm approaching, Ada made a decision that went against every safety protocol she knew. She opened the ship's hatch. The rush of Earth's air made her gasp, even through her suit's filters. The gravity felt even stronger outside the ship's field. The human, Tom, stopped a respectful distance away, his eyes wide but his posture remaining calm. "Well," he said softly, "this is definitely a first. Are you all right? Your ship looks pretty banged up." Ada struggled to stand in the heavy gravity, her legs shaking. You are not afraid?" She managed to ask in Earth's common language, which she had studied but never expected to use. Tom smiled, and Ada noticed his teeth, definitely predator teeth, but somehow his expression seemed kind. "Scared? No, Mom. Surprised? Absolutely. But right now, I'm more worried about getting you somewhere safe. There's a major snowstorm heading this way, and these mountains are no place to be stuck outside." As if to prove his point, a gust of wind blew through the crash site, nearly knocking Ada over. Tom stepped forward instinctively to help her, but stopped when she flinched. "My environmental suit is failing," Ada explained, trying to keep fear out of her voice. "Your atmosphere, your gravity, they're too extreme. I won't survive long without protection." Tom nodded, his face serious. "The ranger station is about 5 miles from here. It has backup power, heat, and I've got some emergency gear that might help. I know you don't know me, but right now, I'm your best chance at survival." Another blast of wind howled through the mountains. Ada could see dark clouds approaching, just like Tom had warned. She looked at him again, this creature who had evolved on this deadly world, who walked through killing cold like it was nothing, who smiled in the face of meeting an alien life form. "How," she started, "how do you survive here?" Tom laughed, a warm sound that somehow made the bitter cold seem less frightening. This is just another Tuesday in the Rockies. Come on, let's get you somewhere warm. You can tell me about where you're from, and I'll show you that Earth isn't as scary as you think." Ada took one last look at her ship, then made her decision. To survive on this Deathworld, she would have to trust one of its most dangerous inhabitants. She just hoped she was making the right choice. The storm arrived faster than Tom expected. Ada watched in horror as white snow whirled around them, making it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. To her amazement, Tom seemed completely calm about walking through what she considered a death trap. "We need to move quickly," Tom said, checking something on his wrist. "Temperature's dropping fast. Can you walk in this gravity?" Ada took a few shaky steps. Her legs felt like they were made of stone, and every movement required intense effort. "It's difficult. How do you make it look so easy?" Tom thought for a moment, then pulled off his backpack. "Here's what we'll do. I'll carry the heavy gear, and you can use these." He pulled out 2 metal poles. "Walking sticks. They'll help you balance and take some pressure off your legs." Ada took the poles carefully. With their help, she found she could move a bit better, though still nothing like her normal grace back home. As they started walking, Tom kept checking on her, making sure she could keep up. Suddenly, a loud cracking sound echoed through the trees. Ada froze in terror. What was that? "Just a tree branch breaking under the snow weight," Tom explained calmly. "Happens all the time up here." "All the time?" Ada couldn't believe it. "You live with parts of the environment randomly breaking and falling." Tom chuckled. "Earth's not static. Everything's always changing, moving, growing, breaking. That's what makes it beautiful." Beautiful was not the word Ada would have chosen. Terrifying, maybe. Deadly, certainly. But as they walked, she started noticing things she hadn't before. The way snow crystals sparkled when light hit them. The strange shapes of ice forming on tree branches. The soft crunch of snow under their feet. After an hour of walking, Tom called for a break. Ada's suit was working harder than ever to keep her warm, and its power was draining faster than she'd hoped. Tom noticed her checking the power levels. "How's it holding up?" he asked, offering her something from his pack. Ada looked at the object in his hand. "What is that?" "Chemical hand warmer. Not as high-tech as your suit, but it works. Might help save your suit's power if we use these instead." Ada was surprised by his quick thinking. These humans weren't just strong, they were clever too. She watched as Tom demonstrated how to activate the hand warmer, explaining the simple chemical reaction that made it work. They continued their journey, with Tom pointing out various survival techniques. He showed her how to spot safe paths through the snow, how to recognize signs of dangerous ice underneath, and how to use trees as windbreaks. "Look out!" Tom suddenly grabbed Ada's arm, pulling her back. A huge mass of snow fell right where she would have stepped, crashing down from a tree branch above. How did you know?" Ada asked, her heart's racing. "Years of experience. You learned to read the signs." That branch was sagging just a bit too much. Tom helped her up. "You okay?" Ada nodded, realizing something interesting. In the last few hours, she had started fearing the human less and trusting him more. His knowledge of this deadly environment wasn't scary anymore. It was keeping her alive. As the day went on, the storm got worse. Tom found them shelter in what he called a cave, a hole in the mountain itself. Ada was horrified at first, sure the mountain would collapse on them, but Tom quickly made it feel almost safe. He gathered wood, and to Ada's amazement, created fire right there in the cave. "Humans can make fire?" she asked, watching the flames with a mixture of fear and fascination. "Been doing it for thousands of years," Tom said, setting up what he called a camp. "It's one of the things that helped us survive and thrive here." As she sat near the fire, feeling its warmth even through her failing suit, Ada realized something important. Maybe the reason humans seemed so scary to her people was the same reason Tom was able to help her now. They had learned to master their dangerous world instead of hiding from it. The morning light revealed a small town nestled in the valley below their cave. To Tom, it was a welcome sight. To Ada, it looked impossible. Buildings made of dead trees and shaped rocks, standing exposed to all of Earth's deadly elements. "Your people live in these structures?" Ada asked, her suit now running on its last power cell. "Without protective shields." "Those structures are going to save your life," Tom said, pointing to a large building with a red cross on it. "That's our medical center. They'll have equipment that might help keep you stable until your rescue comes." As they walked into town, Ada couldn't stop staring. Humans were everywhere, walking around in what she considered lethal conditions, with nothing but thin layers of artificial skins they called clothes. Children, actual human children, were playing in the snow, throwing it at each other and laughing. But the cold should kill them. Ada whispered to Tom. "We're tougher than we look," Tom replied with a smile. "Plus, those kids are wearing warm winter gear. Humans are good at adapting our environment and creating tools to help us survive." The medical center's automatic doors opened as they approached, bringing another shock for Ada. "You just let the outside air into your buildings. We control the temperature inside," Tom explained, leading her through the entrance. "Watch." Ada felt it immediately. The air was warmer here. Humans had somehow created a small pocket of controlled environment without any energy shields or gravity stabilizers. It was primitive compared to her world's technology, but it worked. Dr. Brown, the town's chief physician, took one look at Ada and her failing suit and immediately went into action. Unlike the other humans who stared in surprise, the doctor treated Ada just like any other patient. "Oxygen content too high for you?" Dr. Brown asked, checking Ada's suit readings. "We can set up a sealed room with modified air composition, used to treat certain human lung conditions. Should work for you too." Ada was amazed. "You can change the air itself?" "Of course," the doctor replied, leading them to a special room. "Humans have all sorts of medical needs. We've learned to be creative with our solutions." While Dr. Brown worked on setting up the room, more humans arrived. Local police, government officials, and curious medical staff gathered outside. Ada expected them to be hostile or frightened. Instead, they were excited, offering help and asking questions about her needs. "Your suit's power is almost gone," Tom pointed out. "But look what the hospital staff brought." Ada watched as they wheeled in various machines, oxygen regulators, air purifiers, and climate control units. The humans were combining their primitive but effective technology to recreate the conditions of her home world. "We may not have fancy environmental suits," Dr. Brown explained, adjusting some dials, "but we've gotten pretty good at keeping people alive in all sorts of conditions." Had to, living on Earth. As her suit finally powered down, Ada took her first breath of the modified air. It was different from her suit's protection, but it worked. The gravity was still uncomfortable, but the hospital bed had special pressure-distributing features that helped. Looking around the room at all the machines and monitors the humans had quickly assembled to keep her alive, Ada realized something important. These primitive beings had survived their deadly world not just through physical strength, but through innovation and teamwork. "Thank you," she said to the room full of humans who had worked together to help her. "On my world, Earth is known as a place of death and horror, but you've shown me it's also a place of, what's the word? Kindness," Tom suggested. "Yes, kindness," Ada agreed. "And cleverness. You don't just survive here. You help others survive too." Dr. Brown smiled while checking Ada's vital signs. "Well, that's another thing Earth taught us. Sometimes the most dangerous places create the most caring people. Now let's work on keeping you comfortable until your rescue arrives." In the hospital's modified room, Ada spent her time learning about the species she had once feared. Tom brought her books about human history, and Dr. Brown explained how human bodies worked. What she learned changed everything she thought she knew about Earth's dominant species. "So your bones actually get stronger under our gravity?" Ada asked, watching Dr. Brown examine her latest scans. "That's right," the doctor explained. "Human bodies adapt. More gravity means stronger bones and muscles. It's why astronauts have to exercise in space, to prevent their bodies from getting weak in low gravity." The concept amazed Ada. On her world, they built complex machines to protect themselves from any environmental changes. Humans, instead, let their bodies change to match their environment. Tom visited daily, bringing new information and answering her endless questions. Today, he had brought old photographs showing how humans had spread across Earth's many environments. "These people live in a desert." Ada pointed to an image of a city rising from endless sand. "But it's so hot." "We built cities in almost every environment on Earth," Tom explained. "Deserts, Arctic regions, rainforests, Mountains. Humans figured out how to survive everywhere. But why? Ada asked. Why not just live in the safe places? Tom smiled. Humans don't really believe in safe places. We believe in making places safe. Look at this. He showed her pictures of early human settlements, then modern cities. Ada watched in fascination as the images showed how humans had slowly changed their world while adapting to it. Your species is so young compared to mine, Ada said, looking at the timeline. We've had space travel for thousands of years longer than you, but you've done so much with so little time. Maybe because we had to, Tom suggested. Earth never made things easy for us. Every survival challenge pushed us to think, create, and solve problems. Dr. Brown joined their conversation, adding her own insights. It's like how our immune systems work. A little bit of challenge makes them stronger. Maybe Earth's challenges made our whole species stronger. Ada thought about her own people, living in their perfectly controlled environments. They had amazing technology, but they had stopped adapting, stopped changing. Humans never stopped. She pulled out her research tablet, which she had been using to record everything she learned. Her report was very different from what she had planned to write. My people think Earth is a death world because everything here can kill you, Ada explained, showing them her original mission notes. The gravity, the weather, the animals, even the plants. We thought humans must be monsters to survive here. And now? Tom asked. Now I understand better, Ada said. You're not monsters. You're remarkable. You turn problems into opportunities. When something is too hot, you don't just avoid it. You learn how to make cold air. When something is too heavy, you don't just give up. You build machines to lift it, or you become strong enough to lift it yourself. Dr. Brown nodded. Necessity is the mother of invention, we say. Every challenge Earth gave us led to a new solution. Ada looked out her window at the snow-covered town. A week ago, she saw only death and danger out there. Now she saw something else. The incredible story of a species that turned a death world into a home. My people will never believe this, she said, typing new notes into her tablet. They think being advanced means having the best technology. But you showed me it's more about how you use what you have, how you solve problems, how you help others. Sounds like you've learned a lot, Tom said. Yes, Ada agreed, watching a group of children build a snowman outside her window. I came to study Earth's deadliest species. Instead, I found Earth's most remarkable one. Ada's tablet beeped with an incoming message. Her rescue ships had finally picked up her beacon and were approaching Earth's orbit. But instead of feeling relieved, she felt strangely worried. They're coming, she told Tom and Dr. Brown, who were showing her videos of human space exploration. My rescue ships will arrive in 20 Earth hours. That's great news, Tom said, but then noticed her concerned expression. Isn't it? Ada looked at her tablet, then out the window at the town she had come to know over the past week. They're sending 3 heavily armed ships. They think they need to rescue me from dangerous primitives on a death world. Dr. Brown raised her eyebrows. Heavily armed. That might cause some panic if they just show up. Exactly, Ada said. I need to send them a message right away. They don't understand Earth or humans at all, just like I didn't before I crashed here. She quickly began composing a message on her tablet. As she wrote, she read parts out loud. Earth is not what we thought. Humans are not primitive or dangerous. They are advanced in ways we never considered. They have helped me survive and shown extraordinary kindness. Tom watched her type. Will they believe you? They have to, Ada said firmly. Because I'm not just sending a message. I'm sending them all my research from the past week. Look. She showed them her tablet's screen. It was full of videos, pictures, and notes about human life. She had documented everything. From their medical technology to their children playing in the snow, from their ability to adapt to different environments to their willingness to help a stranded alien. I'm also requesting something unusual, Ada continued. I want to stay longer. Both humans looked surprised. "Stay. In these deadly conditions?" Dr. Brown asked. "Yes," Ada nodded. "My people need to understand Earth better. We've been wrong about so many things. Our fear of your world has kept us from learning from it. From learning from you." Her tablet beeped again. A response from the rescue fleet. Ada read it and smiled. They're confused but intrigued. My data about human medical technology especially interested them. They're sending a single unarmed ship now, with scientists instead of soldiers. What changed their minds so quickly? Tom asked. "This," Ada said, showing them a video she had recorded yesterday. It showed human doctors and nurses working together to save a car crash victim. "On my world, we let machines do all our medical work." The idea of beings physically helping other beings survive, it shocked them. In a good way. The next hours were busy. The town mayor helped organize a safe landing zone for the rescue ship. Scientists prepared presentations about Earth's environment and human physiology. Even the local school children made welcome signs for the alien visitors. "There's something else," Etta told Tom as they watched the preparations. "I've recommended Earth for something special. Classification as a teacher world instead of a death world." "Teacher world?" Tom asked. "A place where other species can learn important lessons," Ada explained. "Earth has taught me more in 1 week than I learned in years of studying safer worlds. Your planet isn't just about survival. It's about thriving, adapting, and growing stronger." As the sun set on her last day as a crash survivor, Ada watched the town lights come on. Each light represented a human home, a safe place carved out of what her people had called a death world. But she knew better now. Earth wasn't a planet of death. It was a planet of life, in all its beautiful, challenging, remarkable forms. "The rescue ship will be here soon," she said. "But this isn't an ending. It's a beginning. Earth has so much to teach us, if we're brave enough to learn." 1 year after her crash landing on Earth, Ada stood in front of the High Council on her home planet Lumina. The Great Hall was packed with officials and scientists, all eager to hear her final report about Earth. Behind her, wearing a special low-gravity suit, stood Tom, Earth's first ambassador to Lumina. "When I crashed on Earth," Ada began, "I thought I was going to die on a death world. Instead, I discovered that we've been wrong about Earth and humans for centuries. Today, I'm proud to announce that the first group of Luminan students will begin their studies on Earth next month." Murmurs filled the hall. A year ago, such an idea would have seemed insane. But Ada's videos and research had changed everything. The images of humans helping her, of their adaptability, and of their remarkable achievements had fascinated her people. "But what about Earth's dangerous conditions?" one council member asked. "The gravity alone could harm our students." Tom stepped forward, moving carefully in the low gravity. "That's why we've built special facilities for your people," he explained. "Just like your people helped Ada survive here with gravity suits, we've learned to modify our environments to help others. That's what humans do. We adapt and help others adapt too." Ada smiled, remembering how scared she'd been of humans at first. Now her people were building an entire cultural exchange program with Earth. Scientists from both worlds were sharing knowledge, leading to amazing new discoveries. The biggest surprise, Ada continued, wasn't just that humans could survive on Earth. It was how they turned Earth's challenges into strengths. They don't just live on their world. They learn from it. And now we can learn from them. She showed new images on the large screen behind her. Human doctors were teaching Luminan medical students about hands-on healing. Luminan engineers were sharing their gravity control technology with humans. Earth children and Luminan children were talking together through special communication rooms. "We used to think being advanced meant having the best technology," Ada said. "But humans showed us that true advancement comes from facing challenges and helping others. Their world isn't a death world. It's a world that taught them to be strong, creative, and kind." Tom nodded. "And we've learned just as much from you," he added. Your gravity control technology is helping us build better space stations. Your environmental protection ideas are helping us take better care of Earth. The High Council voted unanimously to officially change Earth's classification from Deathworld to Teacher World. They also approved plans for the first permanent Luminon research station on Earth to be built near the small town where Ada had crashed. After the meeting, Ada and Tom stood in the observation dome, looking at the stars. Earth was visible as a small blue dot. "Remember how terrified I was of your deadly world?" Ada asked, laughing. "And now you're leading the biggest cultural exchange program in both our world's histories," Tom replied. "Things really have changed. Because Earth taught me something important," Ada said. "The most dangerous thing isn't a harsh environment or strong gravity. It's refusing to learn and adapt. Humans never stopped learning, never stopped helping others learn too. That's why you turned a death world into a home." As they watched more ships prepare to leave for Earth, carrying students, scientists, and explorers eager to learn from humanity, Ada thought about her crash landing a year ago. What had seemed like the worst moment of her life had turned out to be the beginning of something amazing. "You know what the best part is?" she told Tom. "Every time I think I understand humans, you surprise me with something new. Earth isn't just a teacher world. It's a world that never stops teaching." Tom smiled. "Well, we never stop learning either. That's another thing Earth taught us. There's always something new to discover if you're brave enough to look."